What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We continue with our schedule preview projected record series. The Virginia Cavaliers up next. Let's look back at their schedule from last season. You know, the record was disappointing, 3-9, and you see the losses to James Madison, and, well, I guess really that was... They had a pretty tough schedule, and let's just be honest here. William & Mary was their only easy win last year. They had James Madison, had Maryland, had Tennessee in the non-conference. But yeah, you see that record, 3-9. I think this team played, especially in the second half of the season, better than a 3-9 team. And again, there just weren't many easy wins on this schedule. We're going to fast forward to 2024 now and see if this schedule might give them a better chance to have a better record. And we'll start with the non-conference. They've got Richmond, Maryland, at Coastal Carolina, at Notre Dame. So you've got two road games in the non-conference. Coastal Carolina is going to be tough, even though that's not a Power 5 team. Again, they lost to an FCS or to a Group of 5 team last year. Maryland, again, that's going to be tough, but at least they get them at home. Notre Dame, really not going to give them much of a chance there. And then they get Richmond. So it's not a very easy non-conference schedule. Once again, you look at their home schedule in the ACC. They've got Boston College, Louisville, North Carolina, and SMU. North Carolina, perhaps they could pull off a win there, maybe against Boston College. I think Louisville and SMU are going to be tough, but home field advantage does make a difference. You look at the road schedule in the ACC, it's Wake Forest, Clemson, Pittsburgh, and Virginia Tech. Clemson and Virginia Tech are going to be very tough to go on the road and win those games, but you look at Wake Forest and Pittsburgh as games that maybe they could find a way to win. We'll go week by week. We'll start with Richmond here on August 31st. They'll play that one to kick things off. Then it's on the road at Wake Forest on September 7th, back home for Maryland on the 14th, and then Coastal Carolina on the road on September 21st. They get their first bye week after that game. So you get Boston College at home after a bye week. You'd think maybe Virginia could win that game. Then they have Louisville after that on October 12th. Then on the road at Clemson on the 19th. North Carolina at home on the 26th. Then they get their second bye week before going on the road to play Pittsburgh. And it's back-to-back road games with Notre Dame next. SMU at home on the 23rd. And Virginia Tech on the road November 30th. So again, you don't see many easy wins on this schedule. Yeah, you've got Richmond. I like where Boston College is on the schedule. You know, North Carolina may be a game that they could steal. Pittsburgh, but they play them on the road, so it's going to be a tough season, I think, again for Virginia. Let's see what the projection says. First, let's look back at last year's projections. Our projection had them at 4-8. I picked them to go 3-9. They did go 3-9. Athlon also picked them to go 3-9, and the over/under was at 3.5. So this team was right where they were expected to be, 3-9. Maybe best case for them last year was 4-8. Let's see what the projection says this year. And this is the scale that we use. We've done this, with every team. And the way I group teams together, it's not really going to be a great projection, honestly, because, I've got Virginia and Virginia Tech. They're both as tier 4 teams, but Virginia Tech's really close and maybe should be considered a tier 3 team. Again, it does kind of go based off of last season, and they were, 6-6 last year, so that's why they're still in that same tier. That's a game that, in a second, I'll show you that's listed as a 50-50 game, but I think Virginia Tech is probably going to be a pretty big favorite in that game. But we'll start with the easy win. You got Richmond there. They should win that game, no problem. And then you got Louisville. I think it's going to be a game where they're about a touchdown underdog. They get them at home, so they're going to have a chance in this game, and perhaps they could pull off a big upset there. They get Clemson and Notre Dame both at home, so we're going to put those in the orange. We've got them as a pretty big underdog in both of these games. Double digits for sure. Maybe even a 17-point underdog in those games, maybe even more than that. I'm kind of counting on Virginia being a little bit better. Again, playing more like we saw in the second half of the season last year, so I do expect them to be a little bit better. And again, they were more competitive last year. They weren't terrible, but yeah, those are going to be tough. And then you've really got the rest of the schedule. Games that could go either way. Wake Forest, Maryland, Coastal Carolina, Boston College, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, SMU, and Virginia Tech. Now, if I was going to pick a favorite in these games, I'd probably favor Wake Forest. I'd favor Maryland. I'd probably favor Virginia on the road at Coastal Carolina. That one's going to be tough, but I'd probably favor them. I'd probably favor them against Boston College. I'd probably favor North Carolina. I'd probably favor Pittsburgh because they're at home. I'd probably favor SMU, and I'd favor Virginia Tech. So really, I think if you're just going by favorites to win each game, you'd have Richmond, you'd have Coastal Carolina maybe, and Boston College. So 3-9, that's what you would get. But that's not how this projection works. The projection says that they're going to split these games in the white, these 50-50 games. They'll win some, they'll lose some, and if they are able to do that, the projection actually has them at 6-6. So getting to a bowl game. Now they're closer. The number was closer to 5-7 than 7-5, but it did round up to 6-6. So that's the projection for Virginia. And, you know, it looks like every ACC team is going to go to a bowl game according to the projections, but you're not going to have any double-digit win teams either. It's just because there's a lot of parity in this conference and you don't have any elite teams, and that's why the projections are coming out so conservative. It just is what it is. But yeah, Virginia projected to go 6-6. I think that will be a great season if they're able to actually pull this off. Do you guys think they could maybe get there? Let me know what you think about Virginia down in the comments below.